Hello and welcome to this edition of Saturday Chat with me, Big Scott 35. I'm going to attempt to put the bow, nail in it, whatever you want to do for my national. The week after the fact, did a reveal that was an hour Wednesday. I think everybody that hung in there watched that. Of course, got good views, all national videos. Uh, as you can see, I'm going to talk about, my goals, kind of where I was at on that. Start of the week this is going to be kind of like the national. It was the national now for me in my retrospect and moving forward, kind of how my goals are going to moving forward. So at the national, I got there a day before Tuesday. I don't like to rush, so I left Tuesday. I went ahead and drove up to Cleveland. I was thinking about stopping here and there, but I was making really good time. I stopped at a store in West Virginia that for retro store. Only got a couple of things. Could have spent a good amount in there, and I was like, this is not what I'm here for. Uh, so, uh, so I did pick up a couple of things. Didn't use my any national budget for that. So that's and I'll talk about more about that in a minute. Then I went to up to about Strongsville, had a big storm, pulled off into a rest area, made my reservations for that night. Then drove the hour, I guess, about to where my reservations were. Got there, but the storm knocked their Wi-Fi out, and they couldn't see my reservations. So I had to ride around for an hour and a half to get a hotel. I thought I was going to have to go back halfway to Columbus to get a hotel room because everything was so booked up. And I was probably a good 40 minutes from the XI Center, or IX Center, whatever it's called. So it was not even really close. Just stayed there tonight, got up early, and then got my credentials, picked up Joe, went and picked up Dave and Mike in my car, packed everybody in, and headed to the house. I was joking that on our group chat that Ed was listening in or watching because nobody heard from Ed, and he was waiting for everybody to get picked up from the airport. And sure enough, as soon as he heard everybody was getting picked up from the airport, he's like, "I'm already at the house." It was kind of funny, great timing. It was hilarious. Just Wesker Griff style. He's on his own timetable, which is awesome. That's Ed, and you gotta love him for it. So at our house, we had East Connecticut Sports Cards, which is Mike Fabian. He got the house. Awesome house. You want to see it? Mike O has it on his channel. I gave a tour. Beautiful house, plenty of room for us. It was just, for me, I just need a place to sleep anyway. We won't there but a couple hours at night. We get up in the morning. I need a place to shower, do my thing, and go to the show, and then a place to lay down at night, get something to eat if we were eating there. So beautiful house. We went to the show. We got there about 4. That was when I started saying, wow, this is going to be a heck of a time for parking. I've been there before at the last one. I knew how it was going to go in and out. They didn't have the bigger side open, which they did on Friday. That helped the masses. From my understanding, they just stopped taking money because it was holding up the progress parking. Big parking lot. I don't know if it was so much it was a problem with parking as if they didn't have the other side of the place open like they did before, so you wouldn't have to walk as far. Um, but I mean, anytime you go to an event, a ball game, a concert, anything. I mean, it's not just you and in 400 tables. It's an event, and I think if you don't know that the national is an event, I don't know where you've been hiding at. I know a lot of people don't watch YouTube, and I know a lot of people. I heard a lot of only go when it's in Cleveland. But man, even the last time it was in Cleveland, it was an event. It was the parking lot was full then, right? Even when it was a smaller show, way smaller than what it is now. Um, so I don't know why people were surprised at that. Uh, I didn't see. I mean, there was some line to get in first thing in the morning because everybody wants to be first. Uh, but I maneuvered around it just fine. Um, I I didn't have any issues getting in or out. I never waited 45 minutes to an hour. I just took my time getting to the car. After Wednesday, I knew I wanted to be there early. One morning we went a little later and we ended up having to park further down than I really wanted to. But it wasn't like I was on the other side of the airport. Uh, so that was me and parking. That's enough on the parking issue. So we go in downstairs. So Wednesday, I'm walking in with everybody. We help Mike O carry his flipping materials in and help him with that. I stood with him until I told everybody else if they want to go walking around, I'll stay with Mike. It was too much sitting there on the floor where he was talking to the guy. I didn't want somebody to come by and snag some stuff because his attention was somewhere else. So we kind of, me and Hitman stuck around. Everybody was kind of sticking around. I was like, no need for everybody to stick around, because once you get to the show, you kind of do your own thing anyway. Everybody goes in their separate ways. Joe went and met up with some of his friends. I think everybody just kind of went in different directions. I never saw Joe until the end of the show. I didn't never saw Dave or Mike at the show. I don't think. I think one day I saw Mike, Fabian, and Hitman sitting at the table. I guess I should say who was at our. Did I say who was at our Airbnb? Me, Hitman, Hitman 23, East Connecticut Sports Cards, uh, Dave's Midlife Card Crisis, Joe, Dr. Exclusive, and Mike O and Wesker Griff. So we had a nice house full. Friends, the Friends house. I don't know how else. We got to come up with a cool name for ourselves. We had the Misfits. I started calling that whole group of was it four collectors. It's a mouthful. Met them, talked with them a lot outside of Pepino Man, which we missed you, brother. Hope you can get to the next one. We had a good time, and I got to talk to a lot of them, which really wasn't too familiar with them outside of talking them backstage a little bit in a couple of shows that I interacted with them that they either did like Hobby Palooza or helped on in the past. So that was great to really get to talk to them and showed off a couple because I told y'all vintage is when I go to shows, that's what I do. I look for vintage and I save up all year for this show. And I knew what I was looking for. So it was nice to show them, and they were really impressed with my eye on a couple of purchases. I was impressed on how my money went. I kept counting it on like Friday to make sure I was like, I felt like I spent more because what I had. But no, my money went a long, long ways. If y'all saw I'll put a down below in the description to me and Mike's for the house tour. But I was really happy with how far my money went. Dealers were making deals. They were knocking 10% off without even asking. I saw some tables that already had their stuff high, and I felt bad for people that are casual. They only go to shows in their area. They're not really tied into it or go to card shops or have, because I was that way younger days, uh, maybe not have a community or, not familiar with comps and all that stuff. Because a lot of people go to places like car shows like this. Yes, they understand. Okay, it's like buying a car. I can haggle a little bit, but a lot of people think it's more like buying a T-shirt, and that's the price. And if they're okay with it, they buy it. So I do feel bad for some people that don't understand the pricing or how it works. Because I think a lot of the dealers price a little higher for that, and then when they see the backpack crew or uh, people several days in a row like us that were there every day, they kind of know, okay, especially if you throw out a respectful offer. I never went way below comps, but I went below comps because I'm not paying eBay prices either, right? Because they're not getting that money taken out. So I feel like they should pay under comps. Now, I did feel like I overpaid for one thing, and that's something for me, but I was comfortable still paying for it. It wasn't like they stole from me. I was very comfortable paying for it because I wanted that item, but feel like I could have got it cheaper, but I thought about it, and got it anyway. So it is what it is. It's going to happen. Uh, it's in my collection now. I'm not worried about it. I'll never look at a price for it again. Whoever gets it after I leave this world, they will worry about it, not me. Uh, so that's the way I feel about that. But so I get into the show. On Wednesday, we just walked straight in because we got there later. Um, I hung out upstairs. I went downstairs to use the bathroom. That was the first time I saw. Well, no, I saw the downstairs when I got my credentials, but I went downstairs to go to the bathroom. I take that back. I didn't because I used the one upstairs. It wasn't that crowded Wednesday night. I was shocked. Very, very loose in there Wednesday. I dare say as loose as it was on Sunday. Um, lot of room. I was so in depth into the vintage. It took me a while to get through tables. I was taking notes with my notepad. Um, I had a list of Clementes that I was looking for. I knew I was looking for Campies. I don't have any graded Campanellas. I only have 2 raw. So I knew I was starting out fresh with the Roy Campanellas. The Mickey Cochran only had 1, and that was the Gaudi. The Lou Gehrig says one. I had that. So that wasn't hard to remember, like what I had and what I was looking for. I already was looking at different Cochrans. I had a list on my phone of Cochrans. I had a list of Campies, but I wasn't more out. Cochran is pre-war, so it's more for me things that are out of my wheelhouse. I talk to Mike a lot. I talk to some of my friends in the vintage that deal with vintage all the time. And I picked up a couple of Mickeys, as y'all saw. I have a couple getting graded. I think I did awesome with my Roy Campanella pickups. I got all the above 50 Bowman up to the TVs. I was looking for the 55 Bowman. I could not find one. Saturday, I kind of stopped looking. I was thinking about buying the 49 and a 1.5 at a table that was really nice, presented well. Didn't have any creases in the face. It had a crease along the side, and the corners were chewed up, but I didn't care. It's a 49 Bowman. It was in an SGC slab. It's perfectly fit in. I walked around Saturday. I walked by it Sunday twice. I had Mike go look at it with me. Mike O. he already bought something from that dealer. So, and they had their prices. This is what I was talking about. So they had their prices way jacked up. I was like, that doesn't seem right. I looked at comps. Of course, they were way off. But on the table, it said take an automatic 40% off of the sticker price. So when you take the 40% off, it's right above, it was right at or right above comps for that card. And I'm sure, you could have gotten down a little bit more cash. But I told Mike, I don't have FOMO. I can. I'm not perfect. Yeah. But I waited a year for the Johnny Bench. I last year walked around for 3 days looking for Princess Leia before, and then I found her on the last day so I could start buying stuff basically. Um, I just, those cards are not rare. It's just, can you afford them, right? They're not rare. They're all over the place. You could tell me pop counts, all that crap. I don't care. They're not rare, especially, a 49-50 Bowman. Saw both of them there. I didn't see a lot of 50 Bowman. I saw two, I think. But the 49 Bowman wasn't scarce there at all. But the low grade stuff looking that nice, that's not easy to find. But, if you can't find it, and next year's national is going to be way bigger than what it was there, I'm just going to hold off till next year for that one because I decided to walk around and look for more quality and lower, like more. I didn't pick up a lot of modern. I picked up a little bit here and there. I found those Sports Illustrateds from the 80s for Ralph Sampson that I knew they were going home with me when I found those on Sunday. But, pretty much Thursday, Friday, Saturday was me really going through the cases of vintage. And I didn't see but half the floor going into Saturday afternoon. I hooked up with Mike O that afternoon on the floor. I walked around one morning with Joe Forsoft Corners. We had a great time, but we ended up getting separated, going our separate ways. I think he went to go look at a card that somebody wanted to show him. And I have a system. I was staying in rows so I wouldn't get confused. It's easy for me to write down what I was looking for when I found something to go back if that was in question. So that worked well for me to have a system, a grid system almost, if you will. It's really, for me, it works. Some people just walk around. To me, no system is wrong because it's so big there. As long as you're buying cars that you're happy with, it doesn't matter how you see them. So Saturday, I went over Friday evening to pick up a cheap card, and Mike wanted to pick up a card there as well. So he was waiting for me to bundle. It wasn't $10-15 for the two cards, whatever. But it was a Gary Carter I didn't have, and I was happy to get it. And that's when I started kind of looking around over there. It wasn't not even close as many tables over on that side. They call it the new side, the bright side, the left side. You heard all these terms for the two sides. I was on the side most of the time that had the Ferris wheel last time. Ferris wheel wasn't there. People were calling it the dark side because it was darker. The other side was brighter, didn't have as much carpeting. It was more modern over there. A lot more. I did find a table that was just all autographs, in person TTM autographs, just boxes and boxes. He had them in teams, and he was selling them uniquely. Like a certain time period was like $6. Another one older would, that was probably the highest one. It was like $5 for earlier. It was like that. So I was over there on Sunday waiting on autographs, and I just kept walking over to that table. I go over, I buy a stack, I go through the Mets, then I went through the Orioles, then I went through Hall of Famers that he had alphabetically, people that were dead. He had those overpriced for in person. Um, his reasoning, of course, is they're not signing anymore. Okay, I didn't touch any of them. And then he was taking a couple of dollars off afterwards. Uh, but I walked around there Saturday afternoon, Sunday. Uh, that side didn't really impress me nearly as much. The other side was the old timers, the ones you see at every show. A couple of them recognized me. I talked to for a little bit. People from the Clemente group, people that I bought the Princess Leia from. Um, so that was nice. And then, Elite Hunters was over there selling. Robert from Prestige was selling. So it was people that you knew. And I got to say this was pretty cool. It was a ton of people there, but man, did I know a lot of people that was there. So, I mean, so did a lot of other people, but uh, it feels like you're there with all your friends, like 10,000 friends. That's why I didn't feel like, I felt like it was even Saturday morning, Friday, Thursday was probably the busiest. Uh, I just didn't feel overwhelmed by people. I always found space. If I couldn't see a table, I'm 6'2". Also, I just looked through the group, and if it was something I wasn't interested in, I just circled the rest of the table. And then if it was, then I would just kind of stand back, and when the spot opened, I looked, and then, I knew what I was looking for. It didn't take me long. A couple of boxes I kind of went through later in the week. You just kind of had to fight your way in. I don't have a problem doing that. I've gone to enough ball games and concerts and stuff in my lifetime. As I get older, of course, I don't want to fight. I'll just wait. I'll just kind of hang back and Saturday afternoon on that side of the building was a ghost town by Saturday afternoon. Let me speak on the food lines real quick. There were lines, but it didn't seem like people were angry to be in the lines. Everybody was waiting. Um, I heard Victor. I watched Victor's part one. He was saying people were cutting, like walking through. I did that, and I didn't see any other way to get through it unless I walked all the way almost back to the other half mile back and go around it. Once you were counter up there, but I don't think it held up the line at all. I see that all the time at, again, events. You go to any event. I just think they needed to put up the corral walking, right? So I always call it like, so just like buying tickets or going to a ride at an amusement park. If they would have done that, it would have looked a lot better. It would have been more in one spot, not 8 miles back. It seems like people are getting their food. I packed my lunch every day. Thank you, James Gilliam, and for that tidbit a couple of years ago. And that's something I probably won't stop doing now that I've done it. It worked well. I saved money. You got to think, like, even in Chicago, you leave there, you're going across the street to eat dinner and lunch. And that's a tourist trap over there. You're paying $25 to eat. Good restaurants, nothing wrong with them. And I probably, I want to go with my man Ed next year. I promised him the next time we were there, me and him would go to a restaurant. I would go if anybody else didn't. I would at least go, and if everybody else goes, we'll be great. Uh, I you know, that type of thing. I like food. I love food. If y'all can't notice, but I go there for the cards and hanging out with my friends, and I know people get overtired of that. I don't know what to tell people that's never been there. To me, the crowds are not bad. Staying in a house with your close friends now is, my gosh. I mean, it was awesome. And then we had Big Smooth come over and hang out a couple of nights, and it was good to get to talk to him a little bit. And really good guy. So we had a fun time as a group. I think I didn't hear any bad things. The night we hang out at the with the YouTubers on Thursday night. We got there a little late. We went back to the house, put our stuff down, kind of just hung out there, drank some water, just showed off what we got that day. That was the one thing about not hanging out with each other all day. It was like having a card show that night, showing off what you got. Like we were getting our own private like YouTube channel going or something. So we went to the YouTube thing, and that place was off the. I mean, I felt like I was at a high school party or college frat party because it was people hanging out front, out back, cars. They were all in the parking spaces. I had to kind of create a parking space, and then as I'm walking up, I see parking spaces. So it didn't. But anyway, I didn't think that was overcrowded either. I walked around in there just fine. I thought it was cool in there. People were getting their drinks. I didn't hear people complaining about that. They had a shit ton of pizza. I didn't get any. I just wasn't going to fight for it. I was in there talking. I saw Victor. Me and him talk for a little bit about his book, and just me and Victor talk about more than just cards. He's a brother from another mother with me. Talked to Garrett. That's when he gave me that card, and I still goosebumps. Card cutter. Talked to Canadian Cards Mike. Stick and Seams. That's when I met him, and I watched him and Fabian's deal go down for that. I think it was a Jeter auto, and Fabian had to go outside for his PayPal to work. Stick and Seams had to walk a little bit, and then he saw it clear. So that was funny in itself. That table too downstairs, and I haven't seen this I didn't see it last year, and I didn't see it much this year. But the leaving behind of cards, you open up boxes or packs, and you don't want the certain cards. You just want the hits or whatever you want out of it. You leave the rest behind. So we went through cards, and I got some cards that we all got cards for our PC. They left the rest behind again. That was pretty cool. But downstairs was just nice. I hope Chicago, they have an area upstairs. It's a ballroom, but it's where the VIP walk across to. It's the bathroom I love up there. But if they can do the same thing upstairs there, I believe, and get rid of where it's too cramped downstairs. They can have one room down there and just do but the Ludex room and the trade night room and all that, I think that should be upstairs if they can. I don't know if they'll, are giving them that much space. There is another space on the other side that, like, one year the Halo tournament was going on as the Nationals going on, and that was chaos. That's where they have the Chicago shows at, is in that room upstairs. That's where I believe that the VIPs came in last year. I just walked in. I don't play all that. I did one day here. I went downstairs and I talked. That's where I talked to Joe the night before, and then I saw him and John, and I talked to them downstairs a little bit. And everybody was lining up to go up. I think people saw videos of that line and was wondering why VIPs were waiting in line. I heard that said, and I was scrambling my mind. And then once I do my best thinking in the bathroom, I was like, that's probably what they saw. So for the early guys that got in, you still had to, downstairs was an escalator. So you had to make a line to go up. Upstairs was a mob. But I can tell you right now, it was a narrow entrance. They did that for a reason. They stood in, they had 3 people. None of them were small people, checking to make sure you had a lanyard on. If you didn't, they pulled you out. A lady was I thought was going to have a fight up there, and because she couldn't understand why she couldn't get in. If you had a bracelet, they were catching all of that. Now, did some people probably slip in? Sure. But I bet you the majority. I stood back and watched him one day, and I was like, that dude is hawking people down. Um, Sunday they let us in at 9. That was I got there a little early. I sat down and just to chillax and drink a little bit of water and eat my breakfast bar, and they were letting people go. I didn't know who was going upstairs, but Sunday was kind of disappointing for the crowd after I know last year it was drastically small. This year was even more. Sunday was really, really small. But the good thing is the vendors were still up. Only a couple that I see empty tables. So like the singles club got bought out early. They do every year. Somebody comes up, buys them out every year, which okay. So that table, but I think they were making them stay and sit there throughout the week. There was always somebody sitting at that table. I saw somebody try to set up at one of the empty tables because it was only 2 or 3. Staff came by and shut that down instantly. I also saw one night late, about 5:30, cops and a lady come in and gave a guy had to stop selling rings, like Super Bowl rings and stuff. I think he was, selling them as, these are not real type of things, but I think since it had the NFL logo, I think he got popped for that. So he was signing like, was it assist and whatever orders. And they took him all the rings. He had other stuff like wooden, like card holders and all that stuff, but that happened late. So I was like, oh my gosh, we're getting somebody, but he didn't. I don't think nobody got arrested. And then they started walking around with the police and that lady, she hawking that place. So I don't know if she was a representative from the NFL or what. Because there was a guy in there selling like Lombardi trophies and World Series trophies. He's there every year, but he has to have a license. He's always there. There was also other people selling replica rings, but they might have licensed stuff, and that person didn't. Might have been selling knockoffs. So that was interesting. That was the two things. I think the Cleveland security was on top of things. I haven't heard of yet anybody getting ripped off. There was people that fell out. I know Thursday a couple of people had to be taken out. I know Friday somebody went down and had a big hit their head on the cement. Um, uh, so I didn't think it was that hot in there, but you get in that many people in a crowd, you forget to drink water, you forget to eat. You're just so immersed in what's going on. There's just one table after another. You're just boom, 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 and I can see it happening because that's what it sounded like. The person was dehydrated. Then somebody said the next day they thought it was a heart attack. I don't know. I just know the person went down, and I heard it the day before they had to take a couple of people out. If it was that crowded in the area with that many vendors, I'm not going over there. I'm not going over there. There was a big commotion going on at Heritage with cards and stuff. I don't need it. I don't need it. But other people did. And that's fine. That's fine. I did the Star. I didn't know they were doing Star Wars silver packs. Yeah, if that's a thing next year, I'll probably buy a case because I really enjoyed the silver packs. I didn't get shit in them, but the cards were awesome. I did get a nice Mandalorian orange out of 25, which if I want to sell it, which I won't, that would probably pay for all the Star Wars stuff I bought. But I mean, it gave me a reason to buy Star Wars stuff, which I really wasn't there for at all. That was kind of going to be like my Saturday Sunday, I did end up buying a box of golf, which was okay. It was $80. It wasn't like it was terrible. And a pack of Upper Deck, which I didn't get shit. And then I did buy a box of the Don Ross, which that was all right. Mike O's was better than mine, I can tell you, but it was still it's been a year since I've opened a box, so it felt good. It felt right. Um, Not quite a year, 6 months, 7 months, because a year is when I bought my last box. So it's been a year since I bought my last box. So it felt good to rip. I gotta say that. But it also felt good to have money to buy other things, and which I did. And I think that's why my money went further, because I wasn't buying stuff like that, right? Let's see, what was another complaint? I don't want to. I'm not saying it wasn't an issue, because they all the complaints were legit complaints. I just think we can deal with things better as a human. If you've never been to an event, there's going to be lines. I don't. Have you never been to a sporting event or a concert, especially concerts? Holy shit! Um, I go to festivals and stuff when I was younger, where you never enough porter johns, and then when you got in them, it looked like somebody exploded in it. Um, it is what I've paid. I used to. I've done this at a festival. Paid $20 to cut the line to piss because I had to go that bad. Uh, so in my younger days, and hell out of my, I didn't care. I had to go. It's just how it is. And let's see, the food thing, the parking thing. I heard some people griping about where they were staying. I just think people haven't 100% bounced back yet from COVID shutdowns. I kind of felt like they had a lot of rental people for this weekend because they really won't dressed in their staff attire, and maybe they were getting help from places that they were desperate for outside work. It's kind of my feeling I got. But the trash was getting picked up. The bathrooms were staying clean. They always had TP and paper towels. I, right there was a plus over Atlantic City and Chicago. I think this year Chicago. Well, let me finish before I move on. So I'm trying to think that's about it. I wish I could have ate it somewhere else. We just got food a couple of times really late at night. We got really good pizza Saturday night. I feel like overall the dealers were working deals. Of course, you're going to have assholes, and you just have to do your homework before you go, or have a good feel on what you're looking for and know where your ranges are. If it feels like it's overpriced, then it's overpriced. If you feel like it's good for you to buy it. Ask for a discount and go for it. Um, I really that I'm gonna say it, I was really happy how far my money went. If you see my show on Wednesday, I try to take as many price tags off as possible, so I didn't have to say the magic words. I didn't pay the price tag, which I still said it anyway, and I'm saying it now, right? Uh, so I was really happy with that, and I was really happy with how many people I met and talked to. Just kind words spoken to me and Mike about our Sunday nights. Kind words spoken to me about my passion. Um, that's what it's about for me. When I do this, I started out as for me, and if people watched, it was a plus. But when people started watching, and it's like, and seeing I do have a passion for this, I hope it's sells through, and I love that. This has become part of my hobby as well as doing this. I wish I would have done more to show. I was exhausted. I was tired at night. All I wanted to do was sit down. My hips were hurting. I was taking popping arthritis stuff 2-3 times a day, which is not good for you. So, you know, my hands were hurting for whatever reason. I have no idea. I don't know if it was from going through boxes. I have arthritic hands, but you know, that's nobody cares. Shut up, Scott. Stop bitching. I feel like, you know, I still had a very good show. Can't get over how many people I knew or they knew me. Can't get over how many people were there, but yet even at a smaller venue, I felt like I had space. It was not Thursday or Friday day at Chicago. Atlantic City, I never felt like it was a shit ton of people. I always felt like it was spacious. Uh, I don't know. It's because they didn't have nearly as many people as the year after COVID. I don't know. But Chicago, it was jammed Thursday. I was kind of glad my back was hurt and it gave me a reason not to be in there. Um, so, you know, I'll deal with that next year. I'm going to stay healthy. Still working on my weight. And for the future plans of me, how I think y'all saw how I go about things going up to this national. I wanted a clear insight on how I was going. You know, this year, so I ordered a book. Since I'm a collector, I meant to bring it with me. I ordered a book with pages in it to collect money in. And if you fill up all the spots, it's $5,000. So that is something I can visually see. And as a collector, I think it's going to work great for me. Collecting money is awesome. So that is one thing that I'm going to do for next year. Plus, still have my savings accounts. I just probably will be buying even less now before going into the national. I think I'm going to try to go to Chantilly. I am not going to Toronto this year. That is just not in the cards for money wise this year. I think I'm going to Chantilly. If Ralph Sampson is there, I'm definitely going. And I might just go for a day. I don't know. There is a huge show in September now in Charlotte being announced. So I'm kind of looking at that. But yeah, I mean, you see, at shows is where I'm going to pick up my vintage stuff. That's where I'm comfortable doing it. That's not going to say I never will online. You know, I was picking up vintage on PCW, PCs, whatever that for I was buying 71 vintage for my 71, but it was already, you know, graded base cards. So, you know, I was kind of trying to look as best I could, but if I can get them $15-$20 a pop, I was doing it. And I was doing pretty well, and I might go PWCC. That's what it's. Geez. Hope I might go back to that. If that's even still a thing, I don't know. Let's see what else. You know, so the fun part when you come back from the national is cataloging your stuff and putting it away. So as I was putting away my graded stuff, I was going through my graded boxes, and I've got stacks over here that I pulled out of players that I don't want, and I'll be selling that stuff. I'm really trying to knock down, you know, I do have a very wide net for collecting, as some other people don't have as wide as I do, but I'm trying to narrow it down. You know, I've done got these 2 catchers now. I'm a couple of cards from my Clemente run. So that's my 3 vintage guys, plus Johnny Bench. I did pick up a couple of his cards at the show. If you saw, you know, one I'm really happy with, the meat packaging one, and just really, really, I mean, you know, I'll keep picking up my Pete Alonso. He's still with the Mets, so still picking him up. I did really well on eBay when I got home for a couple of days. I was making some steals on there on some cards there, and hopefully I have those for next week's show and tell. And that's about it. The future is just saving up, sticking with how I've been. No more, not buying wax, buying singles, sticking with my main vintage in person. There's always exceptions to my rules and my rules. Uh, thinking about, I'm thinking about purchasing the PSA bulk thing so I can do bulk orders for $15. Still about, I feel, I wish it were around 11. I really do. I wish I had 11 for like a 99 or $150 cards. I would be much more inclined to do that. But I've been looking at bulk submitters and they want to charge you like for $16 cards, they want to charge you like $22 a card. They're making $6 and I got to pay to send it there. And I got to pay for my shipping back. I'm like, and I'm giving you $6 for per card. Holy shit. To me, that's a little bit of a robbery, but I'm going to keep looking around for, if y'all know of any bulk submitters, keep my costs down. Anything for save a buck. That's where I'm at. Because I'm not paying $20 to grade for my PC for my registry, but I do want to start I got that registry bug back after being at the show, adding cards to my bench registry, and I have a box. I just want to get my Carter stuff graded so I can be the #1 collector of PSA. And that's where I'm at now. I trying to think to leave anything out. I'm trying. I've been trying to get rooms for us next year. Kind of took that upon me this year for our group. But I'm not, if anybody else in my group finds something, that's great too. I'm having not a good luck at that. So, cause we're trying to do hotel rooms. We rather pay up and for, convenience than being cheap and have non-convenience. It's really nice in Chicago if you want to leave the show just to walk across the street and go back. But I'm hearing that hotels are already filling up. So I tried one. They were like, they can't take reservations till November or October. And I was like, well, okay. So, but anyway, that's a me problem. So until next time, like, share, tell a friend. This is going to be it for me with the National 2024. And with that, I'll be seeing ya.